Okay, now we're going to make some truth tables. These are an easy way for us to organize truth values for any and all statements in a certain form. So now I'm not even going to give you the statements at all. I just want to know what are all the possible situations for this form right here, not P or Q. And we're going to put this into a truth table. And your first step is to notice how many statements you see. And I see two of them. I see a statement P and I see a statement Q. And in any statement, we have two possible situations. Statements can either be true or they can be false. So I want to write down every situation for statements P or not P or Q. And I know that statements P or Q can both be true. So I'm going to start with that. I'm not going to deal with nots at all. I just want to put my situations down in the table first. So I'm going to start with both statements could be true. Next, we know that statements we could have one being true or we could have one being false or vice versa. So that's how I'm going to label them next. True or false. And the other option is they could be false or true. The last option is both statements could be false. If you want to, you could really memorize the first two columns if you would like. I'm not much of a memorizer, but that does work. Your first two columns should stay pretty close to the same every time. Your labels at the top might change based on what they name their statements. Okay, once you have all your possibilities in there, the next thing that I like to look for is nots. And you can see they did that in my third column here. They put not P. If we remember, a not just changes the truth value. So I like to do my nots next, which means I'm putting not P in here. I'm only picking enough columns as I need. So I'm only going to put not P since I don't need a not Q. And I'm going to look at my first column. I'm going to look at this column to come up with my third column. Okay, so if I see true here, that true is now going to become false. Same thing with this true, that one's going to become false. And then both my falses at the bottom, they're going to become true. Now that I've taken care of all my nots, now I can put it all together. I want to put in my last column not P or Q, which means that I'm going to be looking at this column and I'm going to be looking at this column down here at the bottom. Okay? And I'm going to combine it with ORs. And remember, with ORs, I only need one of them to be true in order for both of those, or that entire compound statement to be true. So if I have a true or false, that we're going to say is true, because I only need one of them. A false or a false is going to be false. And then true or true, that is true. And then finally, false or true is going to be true. There are all my possibilities that I could have for not P or Q. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you. We're going to do the bottom one. And this time we have to come up with our own headings this time. Okay, so I want to come up with a truth table for not P and not Q. Again, the first thing, look for your number of statements. I see two of them. So I'm just going to put P in the first column, and I'm going to put Q in the second column. I'm not going to deal with the nots just yet. We'll deal with those later. Your first column should stay the same as what they did before. I'm going to come up with all the possibilities, so I'm going to go true, true, false, false. And then on the second one, I'm going to go true, false, false. And you can see I hit all the scenarios. I have both statements being true, both statements being either true or false, and then finally both of them being false. Next, now that I have my two statements in there, I'm going to look for nots. And this time, I do need to make two columns for nots because I have a not P and I have a not Q. So I'm going to put one of them in the first column and then the other one in the next column. So not P, I'm going to be looking at this column. My true, this one right here, that is going to become false, or just changing the truth value to it. My truth, is going to become false. My false is going to become true, along with the last one. That will also become true. There's my not P column. Next I'm going to my not Q column, so I'm going to be looking at this one to come up with that one. So true, same thing, is going to become false. False is going to be true. True is going to be false. And last, false is going to become true. Just change the truth values to them. I have taken care of all my nots, so now I'm going to put it together in the last column. I want to put that whole statement over here. Not P and not Q. And this time, since we're dealing with an and, they both have to be true. I want to look at the not P column, and I want to look at the not Q column to come up with my final column. So, ands, both false. I'm looking at this one and this one. False, false is going to be false. False, true is going to be false. Remember, both have to be false in order to, or both have to be true in order to be true. So true, false is going to be false. And finally, true and true will be true. And those are your possibilities. All your possibilities for not P and not Q.